She had been beautiful once, the most beautiful woman in all of Greece. And then, in a single night, in a sacred temple that should have protected her, everything was taken away. Not her life, not yet. Something worse. When the sun rose the next morning, no one could look at her face, not without dying. The sailors who came too close to her island, the soldiers who were sent to capture her, the curious men who thought legends were just stories. They are all stone now, frozen in the last expression their faces ever made. Some screaming, some with mouths open in silent prayer. All of them turned to rock the moment their eyes found hers. Her name was Medusa. And this is the true story of what happened to her. Long before the serpents, before the curse, before the stone-cold silence of her island, there were 3 sisters born at the edge of the known world. The ancient Greeks called them the Gorgons, daughters of the primordial sea god Phorcys and his sister Ceto, beings so old they predated the Olympians themselves. Their home was said to lie beyond the river Oceanus, at the very edge where the mortal world dissolved into something older and darker. 2 of the sisters, Theno and Euryale, were immortal from birth, creatures of pure nightmare, untouchable by time or blade. But Medusa was different. She was born mortal, the only one of the 3 who could bleed, the only one who could die. Before the transformation, before everything, the ancient sources speak of her beauty with something close to reverence. The Roman poet Ovid, writing in his Metamorphoses, describes her as radiant and coveted by many men. Her hair, he wrote, was her greatest glory. Men came from distant cities just to see her. Poets composed hymns to her face. She was said to walk through the streets of Athens and leave grown men speechless in her wake. But beauty in the ancient world was not always a gift. Sometimes it was a torch held too close to something divine. And Medusa, in a moment that would cost her everything, caught the attention of a god. Now picture what she became. The creature that emerged from Athena's curse was something the ancient world had no language adequate enough to describe. Where her lustrous hair had flowed, living serpents now writhed and twisted, each one thick as a man's wrist, scales catching the dim light of her cave like broken mirrors. They hissed constantly, a sound like water rushing over gravel, but somehow wrong, somehow alive with intent. Her face had become a thing of contradictions. Ancient vase paintings and sculptures show wide, bulging eyes that seem to see everything at once. A mouth stretched too wide, lined with boar's tusks, jutting upward from her jaw. A tongue, thick and bronze-colored, hanging past her chin. Her skin had taken on the texture of old leather, stretched over iron. Some accounts say her hands were claws of pure bronze. Others speak of golden wings, folded against her back like a broken angel. And then there was the power that made even gods reluctant to look her direction. Any living creature that met her gaze directly was turned instantly to stone, not slowly, not painfully in the way we might hope suffering works in myths. Instantly, mid-step, mid-breath, mid-scream. The soul trapped inside rock for eternity, the body a monument to the fatal mistake of curiosity. Her blood, it was said, held power even after death. The blood from her right side could restore the dead to life. The blood from her left side was the deadliest poison in existence. Even her body was a weapon. Even her corpse was a miracle, and a catastrophe waiting to happen. The story that made Medusa immortal in legend began with a foolish king and a young man with everything to prove. King Polydectes of the island of Seriphos wanted Perseus gone. He wanted Perseus's mother, Danae, for himself, and the young hero standing in the way was inconvenient. So Polydectes devised a trap, disguised as an honor. He announced a great feast and demanded each guest bring a gift of horses. Perseus, poor and proud, arrived with nothing and made a reckless boast. He would bring any gift the king desired. The king smiled. He wanted the head of Medusa. It was a death sentence with a polite name. Every man who had attempted this task had been added to Medusa's stone garden. But Perseus, son of Zeus, was not entirely alone in this. The gods moved in his favor. Athena, who held her own dark reasons for hating Medusa, came to him in the gray hours before dawn. Hermes followed, bringing gifts that seemed impossible. Winged sandals that allowed him to fly. A cabesus, a magical bag to safely contain the severed head. The cap of Hades himself, which rendered the wearer invisible. And a sword forged for this single purpose. Perseus flew west, past the land of Atlas, past the garden where the Hesperides sang at the edges of twilight, to the island where the Gorgons slept. He found them in a cave that smelled of iron and salt, and something older than either. 3 shapes breathing in the darkness. He did not look at her. He used his polished shield as a mirror, watching her reflection, that deadly face rendered harmless only in its reversed image. The serpent stirred. One of the Gorgons shifted in her sleep. Perseus moved. He moved like silence, like a held breath, watching only the reflection, only the mirror, never the eyes. He was above her now. The serpents on her head began to wake, dozens of slitted eyes blinking open in the dark. Hissing. Warning. He raised the sword. The blade came down. One stroke. The cave erupted. From the severed neck, instead of only blood, 2 impossible things burst free. Chrysaor, a giant warrior holding a golden sword, fully formed and screaming into existence. And Pegasus, the winged horse, white as cloud, beating his great wings against the cave walls, crying out in a sound that was almost grief. Children of Poseidon, born from a monster's death, Stheno and Euryale woke screaming. Their immortal fury shook the island. Perseus shoved the head into the kibisis without looking, pulled on the cap of Hades, and vanished. He flew through darkness and screaming wind, while 2 immortal Gorgons tore through the sky behind him, searching for something they could not see. Their grief and rage rattled the stars above the Western Ocean. But he was already gone. The head of Medusa did not rest quietly in its bag. Drops of blood fell from it as Perseus flew east over the Libyan desert, and where each drop struck the sand, serpents were born. The ancient Greeks believed this was the origin of all venomous snakes, every cobra, every viper, every creature that kills with a bite. All of them children of Medusa's dying blood. Perseus used the head twice more before surrendering it. He turned the Titan Atlas to stone, creating the mountain range that still bears his name, the Atlas Mountains of North Africa. He used it to rescue the Princess Andromeda from a sea monster, the sight of Medusa's face stopping even that ancient beast mid-surge. When the head had served its purpose, Perseus gave it to Athena, and the goddess of war placed it at the center of her great shield, the Aegis. From that day forward, anyone who faced Athena in battle faced Medusa too. Her face frozen in power, in warning, in something that might have once been sorrow. Thousands of years have passed since these stories were first spoken around fires in ancient Greece, and Medusa has never stopped staring back at us. She appears on ancient armor and temple walls, placed there deliberately to ward off evil. She appears in Renaissance paintings as the ultimate symbol of conquered chaos. She stares from the logo of a luxury fashion house. She carries a sword in a famous modern sculpture, the severed head of Perseus in her own hand, reclaiming her story. Movies retell her myth. Video games use her image. Psychologists have named a complex after the paralysis her gaze represents. We keep returning to her because her story contains something that does not age. The question of who the monster really is. A woman wronged by a god, abandoned by justice, punished by a goddess who blamed the victim rather than the perpetrator, and then hunted down and killed for what she had been made into. The ancient Greeks told this story to explain the hero. We tell it now to understand the wound. Somewhere, in a museum, carved in stone by hands that have been dust for 2,000 years, her face is still watching. Eyes wide, mouth open. And you cannot help but wonder, looking at those ancient stone features, whether the sculptor was working from memory. If this story gave you chills, subscribe. We bring ancient myths to life every day.